Finder says we're at 50, so take a couple shots here. Gonna try and do my best to self-film this, so we'll see how it goes. We started to plan the South Dakota trip actually about 2 years ago. I did. Not being familiar with the terrain and all that area, what happened is I took a group of friends of mine hunting, and we done a lot of research, we did a lot of hunting, we saw a lot of deer, so we packed up all of our goods, got all of our equipment ready, and we headed out. We got there probably about 6 in the morning, which we were really tired, and we set up camp. After setting up camp, took them out, looked at some of the scenery, some of the areas to give them an idea of places that they would be able to hunt, since the following morning was going to be opening day. So after getting some well-deserved rest with us all being tired, we got up in the morning. I met up with Corey and Betty Joe and went out hunting. Did not want to try and crawl behind him with the camera because there was little to no cover. So he took it upon himself and laid a good game plan together. He was able to get, even with them moving around a little bit and rebedding, he was able to get, I think it was about 66 yards. It was really close. One of the deer started moving towards him, and one of the bucks, which was a little bit better than that buck, ended up walking down the ridge too. He said he was able to glass the deer, said it was about 66 yards, and he threw it all together. He held rock solid, he made an excellent shot on the deer, just missed the shoulder facing him and went right out through the center of the shoulder on the opposite side, and his first mule deer hunt. I'm ecstatic for him. It was a great hunt. I had seen quite a few deer moving down through this long draw, way down towards the bottom. After about 2 hours of that, and it's starting to warm up, most of your deer out west, be it South Dakota or some of them states, when it's still warm, they're going to bed down pretty early, and they're not going to move that much during the day. So usually that gives you a good opportunity to locate a decent animal and try and move in on it. What happened is I lost a deer down in the bottom, and I saw a couple other deer go into the same draw. Now, not knowing exactly where the deer were, I went in there really slow, pack on my back, bow, ready to go, and just glassing. I'm using my binoculars at ranges anywhere from 50 yards to 250 yards at times, trying to locate animals. When it's this hot, a lot of times you'll have animals that will go right down into the washes at the bottom of draws, and they will lay almost right in the bottom of them when it's hot. So you really got to pick an area apart when you walk in. I'm talking walking 5 to 10 yards, looking with your eyes, picking up your binoculars, scanning every inch, looking for a sign of a horn, an ear, anything to let you know where they are, because sometimes when they bed down, they can be almost impossible to see at times. So you got to really be cautious. More or less, you're like being a predator, being a cat, looking for a prey, and you've got to move slow. Upon spotting this deer down in the bottom, I actually didn't even realize that there was 2 other little small bucks in there with him. What happened is I was using my binoculars, and at about 70 yards away from me, as I was looking through the grass, all I could see was a rack sticking up. I could not even see the animal's head. And at that point I just backed off and tried to decide if this was a deer worth going after. And so I took another quick little peek at the deer, and realizing it was a whitetail, it was a nice deer, not a giant, but one that I would be more than happy with harvesting. What happened as I started to stalk up on this animal is it decided to get up, and it started sparring with a smaller buck, which I really didn't even realize was there. After this went on, I just could do nothing but lay in the grass that was 8 to 10 inches tall and lay flat, just keeping my eyes on the whole time. So I had to wait about 15-20 minutes. Believe it or not, lucky enough for me, they only went about 10 yards and they bedded once again. So after they bedded and they looked like they were settled and a little more relaxed, I actually had even a better vantage point. I was able to have a little bit of more of a knoll in between myself and them. So I kept my bow in front of me, I kept pushing it ahead, I kept looking through the weeds, keeping an eye on the animals, keeping the wind in my favor. I was able to range the animal. I was at like 22 yards. Got myself positioned to where I could draw the bow and be just about their eye line, but once I rose up to my knees, I would have full view of their body. And as I had full view of his body, I really just had to settle into the bow, think about the arrow flight. I pretty much was holding on the mark, and then took a second to think about it. Will my broadhead hit get into the chest cavity? Probably a 1 to 2 second delay. I realized my plan is going to work good, and I executed the shot. Plan came together perfect. I hit my mark right on the button, and I'm hoping, as you'll see from the video, this arrow actually went in and come right in through his chest, and it actually cut almost the top of the heart off. Here he is, real nice polished off 11 point. He's not huge deer. I actually thought he was a little bigger. Got to looking at him the other time, and I'm like, man, maybe he's not as big as I thought. I'm like, God, he's got to be. But first whitetail, South Dakota, spot and stalk, do-it-yourself hunt. The Hoyt, set the pin, was able to range them, just hammered them right on the mark. So that's the deal, man. I'm sure my battery life's pretty much about dead, so we're gonna get them field dressed here and see if I can get some help on the way, hopefully. Give me a hand, otherwise I might have to quarter and carry. Alright, Randy, Bonedriven, getting her done, baby. All in all, this was an extremely successful hunt. 2 people, their first time ever to South Dakota. 1 harvested a pretty respectable mule deer. His wife had a great stalk, a great experience. My 11-point whitetail, you know, was just icing on the cake, and getting all the film footage that we did. So this is Bonedriven, bringing the hunt to you.